You want to stay healthy, right? It's the Prospector Show on Rock 107. And Kate, you mentioned to me the other day off the air, you are concerned about one particular disease.
I did. I mentioned monkeypox very briefly.
Yeah. And it was just one of those things where, like, maybe you thought I wasn't paying attention. Oh, I was paying attention.
You were listening. Yeah. The World Health Organization declared a worsening monkeypox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern last week.
Yeah, and that's concerning, I guess is the word I would use, right? There is some good news, though, about monkeypox, or as it's now known, Mpox, the rebrand, which is really not sticking, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to go up against hundreds of years of branding, so fine, I digress. The regional director for Europe announced that Mpox is not the new COVID, and the risk to the general population is relatively low.
But they did warn people who've recently traveled or been near people from Central Africa and neighboring nations.
Yeah, so be careful if you went to the Olympics, or, if, say, you're going to being a big touristy place that draws folks from all over the world. Like, I don't know, Kate, say Germany for Oktoberfest in a couple days or weeks.
I don't know, Prospector. Maybe you just got back from, what was that, New York City?
All right, we both need to be concerned.
Here it comes, and it's not discreet. You'll get the scariest outbreaks from people that you meet. You get the pox from a monkey. People get sick all around. It's not as bad as COVID, but it can still put you down. We're just a little infectious. Got an open source, stay away. Better get to a doctor and get another shot today. Got pox from a monkey. Got pox from a monkey. Got pox from a...
Breaking the news that's already broken. It's time for Prospector's Briefs on Rock 107.
A new survey says that Americans think it takes $2.5 million to be considered wealthy. Personally, I think being wealthy means having a meaningful relationship with someone who has $2.5 million. IQ scores in the U.S. are decreasing, mostly because Fast and Furious sequels are increasing. Howie D of the Backstreet Boys is 51 today. Sadly, his D initial now stands for destitute.
Making sure breaking news stays broken. Tune in tomorrow for Prospector's Briefs on Rock 107.
It's time to have a little fun on the phones. Good morning. I'm Rock 107's Prospector. Got an email from a guy named Michael, actually, who says he's a chef at an area restaurant. He's a chef at, and he would love us to prank call the restaurant. So I came up with the idea that I need some help paying for my dinner. I'll come back and pay later, but I need to impress this date. It's another Prospector prank call on Rock 107. Yeah, hi. I'd like to speak to the manager.
This is him.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Nate.
All right, Nate. Look, you guys are real busy, I'm sure. Do you take walk-ins?
Yes, we do.
Great. My date and I, it's my first time taking her out, and she's really excited to come to your restaurant tonight. We're on our way over. I'm actually in the restroom right now at the movie theater. We have a bit of an issue that I could use your help with.
What can I do for you?
Here's what you could do. I thought I had transferred money into my checking account, and it didn't transfer. And so now I spent all the actual cash I had at the movies, and she wants to come over to a restaurant for dinner. I don't know where I'm going to get the cash. I can't go to the ATM because my checking account is basically almost overdrawn. This other money's not in an account accessible at the ATM. So where you come in is I can give you my address. I'll give you my ID, anything you need. You'd be doing me a huge favor if we can just come over, have dinner, and then the minute I get home, I can transfer that money, and I could either bring you a check, or we could do Venmo or PayPal or whatever you want.
We don't usually do that kind of stuff.
I understand. Look, it's unusual for me, too. I've never been in this position, but I'm really, really trying to impress this girl. If you could help me out, I'll come in, we'll have a simple dinner, you know what I mean? I'll just sign the check, and I'll put all my information down while she's not looking, and then you'll be able to get in touch with me and get your money. I'll probably have you the money the next day.
If it's a small dinner, we can do that for you.
Oh, awesome. What would that limit be?
Anything under $80. Anything more than that, I would have to charge you.
Great. I'd definitely be down for that. One quick favor, though. If you wouldn't mind, while we're at the table, could you just come over, shake my hand, and just say, like, hey, Jim, we're glad to have you here. Thanks for coming. Like I said, I'm really trying to impress this girl. That obviously doesn't cost anything, but it would really make me look like something else.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, great. Thanks. That would help me a lot. And then if your chef that's there, if he could come over to the table and ask us how we like the meal and say, just so you know, Jim, it's on us tonight. We're excited to have you here. That'd make me look like a big deal. And since I'm not handing any money or a card, it would kind of make sense. You know what I mean?
I don't know if the chef would be able to do that
Why is that?
because we're really busy. And
It would just take a second if you could do that.
I could ask him, but I don't think.
Okay,
he'll be
so he
able to
comes
do that.
over. Let's just plan on it. He comes over to the table. How was the meal? Oh, it was amazing. Well, it's on us tonight. And at that point, if you could present us with like a complimentary bottle of wine and just choose like a nice bottle, $40, $50, something like that, bring it
Yeah,
over.
and then- No, we can't do that. We can't give you
Why not?
complimentary wine. I mean, you're already asking for us to hold your bill so you can pay us later, and now you're asking for the chef and now a bottle of wine.
Right, just add it to the bill. It's not a big deal.
If you were paying right away, that'd be no big deal. You could ask us, but you're not even paying.
So I'm going to bring your restaurants to its knees for like a $50 bottle of wine. Come on. Look, bring the bottle of wine over and just be like, Jim, thank you so much for coming. And one last thing. If you could have a town car or like an Uber or something waiting for us, because we're probably going to have some drinks and stuff like that.
You're pretty much asking us to pay for the whole date.
I'm not asking you to pay for anything. I'm going to pay for it, just not right then. Don't you trust me?
No, I don't know you.
You do know me. My name's Jim. I'm going to come to your restaurant tonight. I'm on my way. I'll be there in like a couple minutes. Look, I got to get back out there. Could you make this happen or not?
No, I can't do that. I can't do that.
All right. Okay. One thing. Could you just do one thing?
What's that?
Just say I'm the victim of a prospector prank call.
Really?
Your chef Michael put me up to this, man.
Oh man. Oh, he's gonna get it.
Oh, come on. You didn't want to help me out? Come on, help a brother out, man. I'm trying to impress a girl. Come on.
There's one thing pay for free, but come on.
All right, Nate. Thanks, buddy. I'll let you get back to work,
That's
man.
good for everybody. All right, thank you.
Life's pretty tough right now. There's plenty of bad news, but it's not all bad. It's time for the brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107.
A guy in North Carolina bought a house, then hit the lottery the next day for $440,000. He says when he closed on the house, someone made the joke that he could lower his monthly payment if he ever won the lottery. He's using the money to pay off the house, go on a big fishing trip, and he'll save whatever's left.
Thanks. We needed that. The brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107.
All right, look, we may not want to admit it, but Gen X, their parents, some even grandparents, it's Prospector Show on Rock 107, and I'm a Gen Xer. Gen X people like me, we tend to think our music is still like the most kick-ass, badass rock and roll out there. I know I have that opinion in my head a lot of times, but to younger generations, it's dad rock. Kate, you're definitely not Gen X, right? Mm-hmm. So when, Kate, if you hear me say the term dad rock, what bands come to mind?
Creed.
Really?
Creed and like Daughtry.
Daughtry and Creed are dad rock. And see, that's like, to be a little younger than me, and I get it, but, we're going to talk about dad rock and some of the biggest bands.
Let's define some terms here, because if we're going to talk about the biggest bands in dad rock, we need some parameters.
Okay. Generation X, born between 65 and 1980. So they entered their teenage years, 77, 78 to like 93. And big bands, we're going to talk about bands that great success, multiple decades, stood the test of time. So in other words, like a band that had like a 3-year career where they're huge, not going to cut it for this list. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's a pretty wide scope of bands to cover. As rock and roll experienced a couple different waves within that time frame. Let's be real.
Yeah, so let's talk about it here. What are the best Gen X dad rock bands? Loudwire actually crunched some numbers and came up with the big 4. Now, don't freak out if any of the bands, like you mentioned, Creed and stuff like that, aren't on this list. That might be the millennial dad rock list, okay? The big 4, Gen X, my generation dad rock bands. I'm going to play you something, and you tell me if you know who it is and all that. You ready?
Oh, gosh. Rock College. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah.
So you know that.
Yeah, AC/DC. I need to know AC/DC in this building.
Damn straight you do. And that is, of course, one of the biggest bands out there. Just wrapped up their Power Up tour, which was selling out all over Europe 50-some years after they started as a band.
Yeah, I guess they're dad rock, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And, I grew up with them, so now I'm feeling really old. Band number 2, and I know you know this one.
Yeah. I hope so, Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, another band of, 50-some years in the business here. Out of the bands on this list, they're the ones that started the earliest.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are
1969, 70,
Yeah.
And of course, they had huge hits in the 70s, took a little dip there when the drugs got too much, came back up in the 80s and 90s and all that. And of course, now officially retired from touring due to Stephen's vocal problems, which stinks. But you can see why AC/DC, Aerosmith would make it on that list.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked by this list so far.
Well, the number 3 band on this list, I get how big they were. I have this problem with the multiple decades part. We're going to get to it. Here we go. Ready?
Okay. Yeah, Guns N' Roses.
Right. Guns N' Roses.
GNR.
Technically, 80s, 90s had some big hits and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, they're still a big, massive touring entity.
It's still shocking, though,
Because,
that it's considered
really,
dad rock.
I'll give you the dad rock part of it. I really will, okay? It came up in that time frame. You know what I mean? I get it. Like 78 through 93. But here's the deal. 1988 through about 1993 was when they were out putting out big albums, making hits. Then, of course, all the BS with Axl started and all that stuff. And it kind of went, and they couldn't sell out squat with Chinese Democracy. Now I know they're back on their reunion tour. To me, it seems a little more nostalgic, so I take a little issue with them being one of the big 4 bands of dad rock, although they're a massive band, and I know Mark Hoover right now, our afternoon guy, is sitting there pounding the table. Guns N' Roses are the greatest band ever to walk the face of the earth.
Stomping in here.
Right. Last of the big 4. You ready?
Yeah. Okay. You know what?
Van Halen.
Van Halen is absolutely dad rock.
Yeah.
That one, out of the list of the 4 that we just mentioned, Van Halen is absolutely dad rock.
Started, on the scene in late 70s, through the 80s big hits, through the 90s big hits with 2 different singers.
Yeah.
Tried the third singer, didn't work so much. Tried one of the original singers again, all of a sudden it worked again. I get why they're on the list.
Yeah, that one makes the most sense to me.
So the big 4 of the dad rock bands, AC/DC, agree or disagree?
I'll agree with that one.
Aerosmith, agree or disagree?
That one I'm on the fence.
Yeah, you're wrong. Guns N' Roses,
I'm going to
agree.
say no.
And Van Halen.
Absolutely.
Those are your dad rock big 4. Of course, we can't get a tour out of them because, stupid Steven Tyler and his voice.
He thinks he looks great in spandex capri pants. Because why should football players have all the fun?
Cool guy here.
Prospector.
Mr. Sexy Pants.
On Rock 107.
I'll bust out the flannels and start Googling corn mazes because fall is here in a very unofficial way. It's Prospector Show on Rock 107. Kate, do you feel the fall?
I do. It's been a little fallish in Northeast PA recently. It's kind of cold.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, but it has been, and you're absolutely right. What I'm talking about, pumpkin spice lattes. The PSL is coming back to Starbucks today, the earliest they've ever brought it back, a full month before fall really starts on September 22nd. Yeah, it's crazy. Last year, do you remember last year?
I do remember people talking that it came
August 24th.
Yeah.
So early, just not as early as August 22nd. That tied the previous record. They bumped it up an extra 2 days.
So if you were thinking of slipping a little something extra into your coffee today, here's your excuse. The pumpkin spice latte turns 21 this year because it debuted in 2003.
Now, are you a pumpkin spice person? Do you dig it? Do you not dig it?
It's fine, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm like, it's okay.
I'll drink it, yeah, man.
I'd much rather, and I do this year round, I get a peppermint hot chocolate when I go to Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good move.
Yeah.
Now, they also have a fall menu. It's got one crazy long name for a drink, iced apple crisp non-dairy cream chai.
Oh, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And they also have a new raccoon cake pop, which I'm hoping is just a flavor and not really a raccoon.
I've seen pictures of it. It's very cute.
Okay, so it looks like a raccoon is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
gotcha.
cute.
Much better.
Rumor is they've got 2 more new items coming October 1st, though.
Yeah.
A mummy cookie. Which
Do I have to unwrap that?
I'm excited to see it.
I'm wondering if if I have to actually sit there and unwrap that cookie, I don't know if I'm going to like that, unless it's an edible unwrapping. Like if it's like I don't know what flavor a mummy cookie would be, but like, okay.
White fondant.
Some kind of, or even some kind of like cheesecloth that I could eat or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm good then at that point.
And they have an iced pecan crunch latte drink.
You mean iced pecan?
All right.
No, I'm just wondering. Do you mean pecan?
Sure. You're going to be like that right now.
Well, say the way you said it.
Now I forget. Pecan?
Okay, pecan. All right. So here's what I'm doing. If you say pecan, I'll say pecan. If you say pecan, I'll say pecan just because I want to get you mad. Either way, pumpkin spice lattes at Starbucks earlier than ever. I'm guessing that they didn't want anybody else to beat them to the gut punch.
Can I take your order?
Yeah, I'd like 50 grams of sugar, 14 grams of fat, 50 grams of carbs, some caffeine, salt, diglycerides, and a little pumpkin puree, please.
1 pumpkin spice latte. Please pull forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab the kids, call your neighbors, and gather round the radio.
It's now time to announce the winner of Prospector's Jam Bag of the Day, as decided by you at rock107.com.
We uncover the most baffling, ridiculous, pathetic, cockeyed, laughable, preposterous blunders in the world of misdeeds. Nominee number 1.
On the list of worst foods to eat while driving, this has got to be near the top. A 73-year-old man in Detroit crashed last Wednesday while eating chicken wings behind the wheel. Even worse, he rear-ended a cop. A Michigan state trooper was sitting at a red light in his patrol car, and the guy was too busy with his wings to notice. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Both cars only sustained minor damage. The cops cited the hitman for distracted driving. Michigan State Police put out a statement saying it's important to remember to focus on driving when behind the wheel. Distracted driving, in this case eating wings, is a risky behavior that leads to preventable crashes.
Nominee number 2.
No one wants to be assaulted, and it is a crime, but let's be honest, there are worse things than being attacked with pasta. A 21-year-old woman in Florida named Nakia Davis was arrested last week after she attacked her sister with ravioli. Literal ravioli. The sisters were arguing. Nakia was mad because her sister brought home some food but wasn't sharing it, so she was fired up. She grabbed a plate of raviolis and threw it at her sister. Cops were called, and when they showed up, the sister still had sauce from the raviolis on her. I didn't say if that was tomato, pesto, cheese, butter-based sauce, I don't know. Nakia admitted throwing the pasta and was charged with domestic battery, which is a misdemeanor.
And the winner is
the woman who was arrested for battery by ravioli. You're the Yam Bag of the Day. And we'll move on to tomorrow's Yam Bag of the Week competition. Keep it here for all the nominees for Prospector's Yam Bag of the Week on Rock 107. Thanks for listening to Prospector's Prime Cuts podcast. Be sure to catch us live weekdays from 5:30 to 10 a.m. on Rock 107 or online at rock107.com or the Rock 107 app. A free download for your Android or iPhone. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss Prospector's Prime Cuts.